Hey, it's Rich back with you, standing in front of a Cessna Turbo 210M, a really nice version, low time, great avionics. We picked it up in Bakersfield last week to get some photos. We're going to list it for sale. Now we're going to take it back to Bakersfield. I'm going to take you along for the ride.
Okay, here we go. It's weird how they put one button on the bezel.
Well, I think that's the most popular button.
Direct too. Boy, he was pretty much right on the money with his tops report. We just leveled out, going through the special flight rules on our way back up to Bakersfield to drop this airplane off. Again, it's a Cessna 210M, Turbo 210M, with the Continental TSI, I think it's a TSI 0520 in it. The 210s, I think, came out in the early 60s, you know, high performance retractable gear, high wing, Cessna. And really good performing airplanes. Cessna, they were very popular. Cessna built a lot of them. There's a lot of different variants. This is an M model. They made both turbos and non-turbos. So this is a 210M. And it's just really popular. Great performance, you know, good short field performance, kind of a rugged gear for a retractable full cantilever wing. And the 210s did really well for Cessna. And they made gradual improvements over the years as they developed them. I think the latest model was the R, and they also made a pressurized version. Stopped making them in the late 80s and never brought them back after that. Mid 80s, probably 1985, 86. And again, this is a 210M, T210M, 6 seats. Up to 6 seats. This one only has 4 in it, but again, a great airplane for Cessna in the heyday of general aviation when they were making tons of airplanes. So the Turbo 210M that we're flying has about 3,300 hours total time on it, which I believe is very low time for the year and the vintage of 210. And then the engine is I think around 650 total time since overhauled by Lycon, which is a good brand. I think it was painted in 1994, interior in 1994, but it's in really, really good shape. This airplane obviously has been well cared for. And a lot of avionics upgrades, including, it looks like a metal panel, a GTN 750, I think that's Garmin second comm radio, and then a 345 transponder, which is ADS-B in and out, and a Garmin GFC 500 autopilot, which I'm a big fan of. And then you've got two G5s for attitude and HSI here, and that's your conventional instruments. It's got a fuel computer, or yeah, fuel computer, and then a little engine monitor, a digital cylinder head, and TIT gauge, and conventional engine instruments, manifold pressure, fuel flow, RPMs, and conventional fuel gauges. But obviously this center stack and a new audio panel as well, vertical card compass. It's just everywhere you look in this airplane is really, really nice, and to have this kind of panel in this airplane makes it really nice. So we just got out of special flight rules. I'm going to climb up to 10.5 and do some performance checks. Performance on this 210, and really my experience with these 210s is 180, 190 knots true airspeed depending on your altitude. We've set this one up for 30 inches, 2,500 RPMs, dialed the fuel back to, on the analog gauge, 100 pounds per hour, which gives us 17.5 on the digital gauge here. And the book at 11,000 on plus 10 ISA is 180 knots true airspeed, which is exactly what we're getting. 181 knots, that's exactly what the book says. If you went up to 16, it'd be in another 10 knots, 192 knots. And here they are at 10 at 76% power, which is exactly what we got set up. 30 inches, 100 pounds of fuel, 2,500 RPMs, and 180 knots true. If you want to go up to 16, you get another 10 knots out of it. And that's consistent with my experience with 210s. Don't have a ton of 210 time, but I've flown a lot of different ones. And somebody asked me on the street, how fast is a 210? I'd say 180, 190 knots, depending on your altitude. Really smooth ride with these avionics, this autopilot. It's just a treat to fly, and you can see why 210s are really popular. As we're descending into Bakersfield, quick overview of the 210 market. Like a lot of good, used airplanes in general, supply is way down. 210's no different. And then to find a nice, clean, low time, updated airplane often is even harder to find. And so it's a tight market everywhere. Good, clean, used airplanes. If you look at a high performance 180, 90 knot airplane, in this vintage, you got Bonanzas, obviously Piper, Saratoga. It's probably not as fast. 6-place retractable gear. They're real good airplanes too.
Number 24,
and 210's kind of, it's kind of unique in a lot of ways in the market, and there's just not many available. I believe this one will probably be one of the lowest time ones you can find, airframe time, and maybe one of the nicest equipped ones too, with the autopilot. I looked quickly, I didn't see any other ones with the GFC 500 autopilot in it. So I'm pretty excited to bring this to the market. If you're interested in a turbo 210, this vintage, this would be a great airplane to take a look at and consider. As we're descending here, our indicated airspeed is coming up, so this airplane has speed brakes, which is really nice. So I can pop those out, and that would mean something to me with a high-performance airplane like this, because it really allows you to keep some engine power up and keep it warm as you descend. You don't have to pull a bunch of power back. Although I think shock cooling's probably a little bit overrated, but this definitely helps minimize that, and that's a nice feature to have, because these are pretty slippery airplanes. It can't be hard to slow down. We're joining the final here for the straight-end Shafter Airport in Bakersfield, and just to sum it up, this airplane's for sale. It's a really clean, nice 210 lot of nice upgrades, low time, good engine. And hope you take a look at it online. Thanks for watching the video. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. Right on glide path. Gears down. 1 green. Flaps are full. What a nice airplane. Look at this. It's kind of heavy though on the elevator. That was a gust of wind.